Welcome. Take a breath. Settle in. Because what you are about to hear is not just an English lesson, it is a masterclass in living, a step-by-step guide to becoming the best version of yourself, delivered in clear, natural English that you can follow, understand, and grow from no matter your current level. My name does not matter. What matters is this. You showed up today. You pressed play. You decided that today would be different. And that decision, that single, quiet, powerful decision is the first step in mastering your life. In this masterclass, we are going to cover everything. We are going to talk about your mindset, your habits, your time, your relationships, your health, your goals, your money, your emotions, your communication, your purpose, and your daily rituals. We are going to go deep. We are going to go wide. And by the time you finish listening, you will have a complete blueprint for a better life, one simple step at a time. This is also a graded reader, which means the English you hear has been carefully chosen to be clear and accessible. If you are an intermediate learner, you will understand most of what you hear. If you are advanced, you will find the language natural and rich. And if you are a beginner, do not worry. Listen more than once. Repetition is your friend. So let us begin. Let us level up daily. Let us master your life. Chapter 1. The Foundation? Understanding. Where you are right now. Before you can change anything, you need to understand where you are. This sounds simple, but most people skip this step. They jump straight into action without ever stopping to look honestly at their current situation. Think of it like this. Imagine you are lost in a big city. You have a map. You have a destination. But if you do not know where you are standing right now, that map is useless. You cannot plot a course to where you want to go until you know your starting point. So, let us start with honesty. Honest, gentle, kind honesty with yourself. Ask yourself these questions. Answer them in your mind as you listen. Are you happy with your life right now? Not perfectly happy? Not completely satisfied? But generally, do you feel like your life is moving in a good direction? Are you growing? Are you learning new things? Are you becoming more capable, more wise, the more kind than you were 1 year ago? Are you healthy? Not an Olympic athlete, just reasonably healthy. Do you sleep well? Do you move your body? Do you eat food that gives you energy? Are your relationships good? Do you have people in your life who care about you? Do you care about them? Do you feel connected to other human beings? Do you have goals? Not vague wishes. Real specific goals that you are actually working toward? Now, here is the important thing. There are no wrong answers. Whatever your honest answers are, those are your starting points. Those answers tell you where the work is. They tell you where to focus your energy. Most people, when they hear questions like these, feel a little uncomfortable, maybe even a little sad. That is okay. That discomfort is information. It is your inner self telling you that something needs attention. And the fact that you can feel that discomfort means you are already more self-aware than you might think. Self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth. Without it, you cannot change. You cannot improve what you cannot see clearly. So, this chapter, this first step, is about developing the skill of looking at yourself honestly. Let us talk about what gets in the way of honest self-reflection. The first obstacle is pride. Pride makes us say, I am fine, everything is fine, I do not need to change. Pride is protective, but it can be a prison. When pride stops you from seeing your weaknesses, it stops you from growing. The second obstacle is shame. Shame makes us say, I am so far behind, I am such a failure, there is no point in trying. Shame is the opposite of pride, but it has the same effect. It stops growth, it paralyzes. The truth lives between pride and shame. The truth is simply this: you are a work in progress. You always have been. You always will be. Every great person you admire is also a work in progress. They just show you the finished chapters, and not the messy first drafts. So here is your first assignment in this masterclass. Not a big assignment, just one simple thing. Take 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, and write down your honest assessment of these 5 areas of your life. Rate each one from 1 to 10. 1 means terrible, 10 means excellent. Area 1, health and energy. Area 2, relationships and connection. Area 3, work and purpose. Area 4, money and financial security. Area 5, personal growth and learning. Write the numbers down. Do not judge them, just see them. Those numbers are your baseline. They are your starting point. They are the map coordinates that tell you exactly where you are standing right now. And from here, only from here, can you begin to move forward. Chapter 2. The Mindset Shift from Fixed to Growth. Now, we get to the heart of everything. Because before habits, before routines, before goals and systems and all the practical tools we will talk about later, before all of that, there is mindset. Mindset is the lens through which you see the world. It shapes everything. It shapes how you react to failure, how you feel about challenges, how you treat other people, and whether you believe you are capable of change. There are 2 fundamental mindsets. These were identified by a brilliant psychologist named Carol Dweck, and her research has transformed the way we think about human potential. The first mindset is called the fixed mindset. A person with a fixed mindset believes that their qualities are fixed, that they are born with a certain amount of intelligence, talent, and ability, and that is it. That is all they will ever have. When a fixed mindset person fails, they think, I am not smart enough. I am not talented enough. Yeah, this is just not for me. They avoid challenges because challenges might reveal their limitations. They give up easily. They feel threatened by other people's success. The second mindset is called the growth mindset. A person with a growth mindset believes that their qualities can be developed, that intelligence, talent, and ability can grow through effort, learning, and persistence. When a growth mindset person fails, they think, I have not figured this out yet. What can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? They embrace challenges because challenges are opportunities to grow. They persist through difficulty. They are inspired by other people's success because it shows them what is possible. Now, here is the most important thing about these 2 mindsets. You are not born with one or the other permanently. You can change your mindset. You can move from fixed to growth. And that shift, that single mental shift, changes everything. Let me give you a simple but powerful example. Imagine 2 students, both learning English. They have the same teacher, the same textbook, the same amount of time each week to study. Student A has a fixed mindset. She makes a grammar mistake in class, and the teacher corrects her. She feels embarrassed. She thinks, I am not good at languages. Maybe I am just not the type of person who can learn English. She starts participating less in class. She avoids speaking because she does not want to make mistakes. Her progress slows down and eventually stops. Student B has a growth mindset. He makes the same grammar mistake, and the teacher corrects him. He thinks, good. Now I know what I was doing wrong. Let me practice that specific grammar point tonight. He writes down the correction. He practices. He makes the mistake again a week later, but then he does not make it a week after that. His English gets better and better. Same starting point, same resources, completely different outcomes. Because of mindset. Now let me ask you, which student are you? And more importantly, which student do you want to be? If you recognized yourself in student A, that is okay. That is more than okay. Most of us have been student A at some point. The fixed mindset is comfortable. It protects us from disappointment. If you never try, you never fail. If you never fail, you never feel bad. But you also never grow. You never achieve. You never become who you are capable of being. So, how do you shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? Here are 4 practical techniques. Technique 1, change your self-talk. The language you use inside your head matters enormously. When you catch yourself saying, "I cannot do this," add one small word, "yet." I cannot do this yet. That tiny word opens a door. It acknowledges where you are now while keeping the possibility of growth alive. In Technique 2, celebrate effort, not just results. Instead of only praising yourself when you succeed, start praising yourself for trying, for showing up, for working hard. Even when things do not go perfectly, the effort itself deserves recognition. This rewires your brain to see effort as valuable, which makes you more willing to put in effort. Technique 3, find lessons in failure. Every failure contains information. When something does not go the way you hoped, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What would I do differently next time? This turns failure from a dead end into a data point, and data points help you improve. Technique 4, surround yourself with growth-minded people. The people you spend time with have an enormous influence on your mindset. If the people around you complain, make excuses, avoid challenges, and celebrate mediocrity, that mindset will rub off on you. But if you spend time with people who push themselves, who learn from mistakes, who celebrate growth, their mindset will rub off on you too. Choose your environment wisely. The growth mindset is not a destination you arrive at and stay forever. It is a practice. Some days you will slip back into the fixed mindset. Some days you will hear that voice in your head saying, "I cannot do this. I am not good enough." That is normal. The practice is not to silence that voice permanently, but to recognize it when it shows up and gently, firmly, to choose a different response. Chapter 3, Building Powerful Habits. The Architecture of Daily Excellence. You are now 2 chapters deep into this masterclass. You have assessed where you are. You have begun to understand the power of mindset. Now, it is time to talk about the engine that drives real, lasting change in your life. That engine is habit. Aristotle, the great ancient Greek philosopher, said something that has echoed through the centuries. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Read that again. Let it sink in. We are what we repeatedly do, not what we occasionally do, not what we do when we are motivated, when the conditions are perfect, when we feel inspired. What we repeatedly do, day after day, week after week, month after month. Your life, right now, is the product of your habits. The way you look is the result of your eating and exercise habits. The way you think is the result of your reading and reflection habits. The quality of your relationships is the result of your communication habits. Your financial situation is the result of your spending and saving habits. This is both a challenging and an incredibly empowering idea. It is challenging because it means you cannot blame your circumstances for everything. But it is empowering because it means you have more control than you might think. You can change your habits. And when you change your habits, you change your life. So let us talk about how habits actually work. A habit has 3 parts. These 3 parts form what researchers call the habit loop. Understanding this loop is essential if you want to build new habits or break old ones. The first part is the cue. The cue is the trigger that starts the habit. It could be a time of day, a place, but an emotion, another person, or an event. For example, you wake up in the morning, that is the cue. You feel stressed, that is the cue. You sit down at your desk, that is the cue. The second part is the routine. The routine is the behavior itself, the actual habit. After you wake up, you check your phone. After you feel stressed, you eat something. After you sit at your desk, you start working. The third part is the reward. The reward is the benefit you get from the habit. The reason your brain likes the habit and wants to repeat it. When you check your phone, you get a hit of social stimulation. When you eat something stressful, you get a brief feeling of comfort. When you start working at your desk, you get the satisfaction of being productive. Cue. Routine, reward. Every habit you have, good or bad, follows this pattern. Now here is where it gets really useful. If you want to build a new habit, you do not need willpower alone. You need to engineer the habit loop deliberately. Let me show you how. Let us say you want to build a habit of reading for 20 minutes every day. This is a fantastic habit for English learners, by the way. 20 minutes of daily reading can dramatically improve your vocabulary, your grammar, your comprehension, and your writing. So, how do you build this habit? Step 1. Choose your cue. Pick an existing moment in your day that will consistently trigger your reading. Maybe it is right after dinner. Maybe it is right before bed. Maybe it is during your lunch break. The key is to anchor the new habit to something you already do consistently. This is called habit stacking. Step 2. Make the routine as easy as possible. This is crucial. One of the biggest mistakes people make when building habits is they make the behavior too difficult, too demanding, or too long. Then when motivation drops, which it always does, the habit falls apart. Instead, so start small, embarrassingly small. Instead of, I will read for 20 minutes, start with, I will read for 2 minutes. 2 minutes is so easy, it is almost impossible to fail. And once you start, you will often continue for longer anyway. Step 3. Give yourself a reward. After your reading session, do something you enjoy, have a cup of tea, take a short walk, listen to a song you love. The reward trains your brain to associate reading with pleasure, which makes the habit stick more quickly. Now let us talk about breaking bad habits, because that is just as important. Bad habits are not signs of weakness or poor character. They are simply habit loops that are no longer serving you. And just like good habits, they can be understood and changed. The most effective way to break a bad habit is not to try to eliminate the routine, but to replace it with a different routine that responds to the same cue and provides a similar reward. For example, suppose you have a habit of scrolling through social media whenever you feel bored or restless. The cue is boredom. The routine is scrolling. The reward is mild stimulation and distraction. To break this habit, keep the cue and the reward, but replace the routine. When boredom strikes, instead of reaching for your phone, try standing up and walking for 2 minutes, or doing 5 deep breaths, or writing 3 sentences in a journal. When these new routines respond to the same cue boredom and can provide a similar or even better reward. The key insight is this: you cannot simply stop doing a bad habit and leave a vacuum. Your brain craves the reward. If you take away the routine without replacing it, the cue will keep triggering the craving, and eventually you will slip back into the old behavior. Replace. Do not just remove. Here are the 5 habits that, if built consistently, will transform your life. Habit 1. Move your body every day. Not necessarily intense exercise, just movement. A 20-minute walk, 10 minutes of stretching, a short yoga session. Regular physical movement improves your energy, your mood, your focus, your sleep, and your long-term health. It is the single most beneficial habit a human being can build. Habit 2. Read or learn something new every day. Whether it is a book, a podcast, an article, or a lesson like this one, expose your brain to new ideas every single day. The people who succeed at the highest levels are almost universally voracious learners. They read constantly. They ask questions constantly. They treat learning as a daily discipline, not an occasional event. Habit 3. Reflect daily. Take 5 to 10 minutes each day, morning or evening, to think about your life. What went well today? What did not go well? What are you grateful for? What do you want to improve? This daily reflection keeps you conscious and intentional. It stops you from drifting through life on autopilot. Habit 4. Connect meaningfully with another person every day. Human beings are social creatures. We need real connection, not just digital likes and comments, genuine conversation, genuine interest, genuine care. Make it a habit to have at least one real conversation every day. Ask someone how they are doing and actually listen to the answer. Now, habit 5. Do one thing every day that moves you toward your most important goal. Just one thing. It does not have to be big. It does not have to take long. But do one deliberate action every day that moves you in the direction of what you most want. Over weeks, months, and years, this daily action compounds into extraordinary results. Chapter 4. The Power of Time. Mastering your most precious resource. Everyone on this planet, regardless of their wealth, their status, their connections, their talent, everyone gets exactly 24 hours per day. Not 1 second more, not 1 second less. Time is the great equalizer. And yet, some people seem to accomplish extraordinary things with their 24 hours, while others reach the end of the day feeling like they did nothing at all. What is the difference? The difference is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is not even motivation. The difference is time management, the conscious, deliberate, and strategic use of your time. Let me be honest with you. Most people waste enormous amounts of time every day, not because they are lazy, not because they are bad people, but because they have never stopped to really look at where their time goes. So, let us look. A typical day for many people looks something like this. Wake up, reach for the phone, scroll through social media, news, messages, maybe 30 minutes gone. Eat breakfast while scrolling, another 20 minutes gone. Get dressed, commute, maybe another hour gone. Work for a while, but with constant interruptions from notifications, messages, colleagues, maybe 50% of that work time is actually productive. Come home, eat dinner in front of the television, more scrolling, sleep, repeat. Now, I am not saying any single one of those activities is evil or wrong, but when you add up the time spent on passive, low-value activities, it can easily total 4, 5, or even 6 hours per day. That is a significant portion of your waking life. Imagine if you recovered just 2 of those hours and used them deliberately. 2 hours per day, focused on learning, creating, building, connecting. That is 14 hours per week, 60 hours per month, 720 hours per year. In 720 hours, you can learn a language, write a book, build a business, get fit, develop a skill, or all of these things. Time is not the problem. Attention is the problem. Let me introduce you to a framework that will help you manage your time and attention far more effectively. It is called the Eisenhower Matrix, and it was inspired by Dwight D. Eisenhower, the American military general and president who was famous for his extraordinary productivity. The matrix divides all tasks into 4 categories based on 2 factors: urgency and importance. Quadrant 1 contains tasks that are both urgent and important. That these are things that require your immediate attention and have significant consequences. A work deadline, a medical emergency, a critical problem that needs solving right now. These tasks must be done, but if you are living mostly in quadrant 1, you are constantly in crisis mode. Something has gone wrong in your planning. Quadrant 2 contains tasks that are important but not urgent. These are things like exercise, reading, learning new skills, maintaining relationships, long-term planning, a reflection. These tasks are not screaming for your attention. No alarm goes off if you skip them today. But they are the tasks that build a great life over time. Most successful, fulfilled people spend the majority of their time here. Quadrant 3 contains tasks that are urgent but not important. These are interruptions, someone else's emergency, unnecessary meetings, emails and messages that feel urgent but do not actually move your life forward. These tasks demand your attention but do not deserve it. Quadrant 4 contains tasks that are neither urgent nor important. Mindless scrolling, passive entertainment, activities you do purely out of habit or boredom. Not all leisure is in Quadrant 4. Intentional rest and enjoyable recreation have value. But many of us spend far too much time here. The goal is to spend more time in Quadrant 2 and less time in Quadrants 3 and 4. To do that, you need to be proactive rather than reactive. You need to protect your time from the urgent but unimportant. And you need to build systems that prevent crises so you spend less time in Quadrant 1. Here are 5 practical time management strategies that work. Strategy 1. Time blocking. Instead of working from a to-do list, schedule blocks of time in your calendar for your most important work. Give each block a specific task or focus. When that time block arrives, that is what you do, nothing else. This protects your important work from being pushed aside by the urgent and trivial. Strategy 2. The 2-minute rule. If a task will take less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately instead of adding it to a list. Responding to a short message, filing a document, making a quick phone call. These tiny tasks take more mental energy to track and avoid than they do to simply complete. Do them now and move on. Strategy 3. Eliminate before you optimize. Before you try to do things faster and more efficiently, ask whether those things need to be done at all. Many people work very hard at tasks that should simply be eliminated from their lives. What commitments, meetings, activities, or obligations could you eliminate right now without any real negative consequence? Strategy 4. Protect your peak hours. Each of us has a time of day when our energy and focus are at their highest. For most people, this is in the morning. For others, it is in the late afternoon or evening. Know when your peak hours are and protect them for your most important and demanding work. Do not spend your peak hours answering emails and attending meetings. Save that time for the work that matters most. Strategy 5. Review and plan weekly. Set aside 30 minutes at the end of each week to review what happened and plan the week ahead. This weekly review keeps you aligned with your goals. It helps you notice patterns when you are consistently failing to complete certain tasks, when you are spending time on things that do not matter. The weekly review is one of the highest return habits you can build. Chapter 5. Goals that actually work. The science of achieving what you want. You have heard about goal setting your whole life. Set goals. Write them down. Visualize them. Believe in them. But most people set goals and do not achieve them. Why? And more importantly, what do the people who do achieve their goals do differently? Let us start with a truth that might surprise you. The goal itself is not the most important thing. What matters more is the system you build around the goal. Think about it this way. A runner sets a goal to finish a marathon. But what actually gets them across the finish line is not the goal, it is the months of training, the early morning runs, the diet adjustments, the recovery protocols, the system. The goal just tells them which direction to point the system. That said, goals still matter. The right kind of goals, set in the right way, provide clarity, motivation, and a framework for decisions. So let us talk about what makes a goal work. You have probably heard of SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This is a useful framework, and it works well for short to medium-term goals. Let me explain each element. The specific means your goal is clear and precise. Not, I want to improve my English, but I want to be able to hold a 10-minute conversation with a native English speaker about everyday topics. Not, I want to get fit, but I want to be able to run 5 kilometers without stopping. Measurable means you can track your progress. You know when you have achieved the goal and when you have not. Numbers help. Read 1 book per month is measurable. Read more is not. When achievable means the goal is challenging but realistic. A goal that is too easy does not motivate you. A goal that is too far beyond your current abilities can demoralize you. The sweet spot is a goal that requires real effort and growth, but is genuinely within reach. Relevant means the goal matters to you. It aligns with your values, your priorities, your vision of a good life. Goals that are set because someone else wants you to achieve them, a parent, a boss, a society, rarely produce sustained motivation. Goals that come from your own deep desires have real power. Time-bound means the goal has a deadline. Someday is not a time. A deadline creates urgency, forces decisions, and gives you something concrete to work toward. SMART goals are excellent, but there is something beyond SMART goals that I want to introduce you to, something that research increasingly confirms as one of the most powerful tools for achievement. It is called process-focused goal setting. Here is the idea. Instead of only setting outcome goals, things like, I want to lose 10 kilograms, or I want to save $1,000, you also set process goals. Process goals are about your daily and weekly actions. I will exercise for 30 minutes, 5 days per week. I will save 5% of every paycheck. Process goals are powerful because they are completely within your control. Whether you lose 10 kilograms depends on many factors: your metabolism, your health, your stress levels. But whether you exercise for 30 minutes 5 days per week is entirely up to you. It is a behavior, a choice, and choosing that behavior consistently is what creates the outcome over time. When you focus on the process, you reduce anxiety. You reduce the all-or-nothing thinking that derails so many goal setters. You build momentum through consistent action, and, gradually, almost inevitably, the outcomes follow. Here is a simple goal-setting practice to implement right now. Choose one major area of your life that you most want to improve. Just one. It might be your English, it might be your health, it might be your career. Now write down one outcome goal for this area. Make it SMART, clear, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Then write down 3 process goals, 3 specific behaviors you will do consistently each week that will move you toward this outcome goal. Put these somewhere you will see them every day. Revisit them at your weekly review. Adjust them as you learn and grow. This simple practice, 1 outcome goal, 3 process goals, weekly review, has transformed lives. Not because it is complicated, because it is not. It is simple, clear, and actionable. And in the world of personal development, simple and consistent always beats complex and occasional. Chapter 6. The Health Equation: Energy, Sleep, Food, and Movement. Everything else in this masterclass depends on your health. Not perfect health that is beyond any of our control, but functional, sustainable health, the kind that gives you the energy to show up fully for your life. Think of your health as the hardware that runs your life, your mindset, your habits, then your goals, your relationships. These are the software, but without good hardware, even the best software runs slowly, crashes frequently, and produces poor results. The four pillars of health are sleep, food, movement, and stress management. Let us go through each one. Pillar 1. Sleep. This is the single most underrated pillar of human performance. In a culture that celebrates busyness and glorifies people who sleep only 4 or 5 hours per night, sleep has been demonized as laziness. But science tells a completely different story. During sleep, your brain clears out waste products that accumulate during the day, including proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease. Your body repairs and rebuilds muscle tissue. Your immune system strengthens. Your emotional processing centers reset. Memories are consolidated, which is why sleep, after learning, dramatically improves retention. Hormones that regulate hunger, stress, and growth are balanced. When you are sleep deprived, every single aspect of your cognitive and physical performance deteriorates. Your reaction times slow. Your decision-making worsens. Your emotional regulation falls apart. Small frustrations feel enormous. Your risk of illness increases. Your appetite for unhealthy foods increases. Your ability to learn and remember new information decreases significantly. The research is clear. Most adults need between 7 and 9 hours of quality sleep per night, not occasionally, consistently. Here are the most important principles for better sleep. Keep consistent sleep and wake times even on weekends. Your body has an internal clock, and consistency is what keeps it running accurately. Make your bedroom dark, cool, and quiet. Light, especially the blue light from screens, suppresses the hormone melatonin, which tells your body it is time to sleep. Reduce screen exposure for at least 1 hour before bed. Avoid caffeine in the afternoon. Caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours, which means that a coffee at 3 in the afternoon still has half its caffeine active in your system at 8 or 9 in the evening. Create a wind-down routine. A consistent pre-sleep ritual signals to your nervous system that it is time to shift into rest mode. This might include dimming the lights, reading a physical book, taking a warm shower, or practicing light stretching. Sleep is not a luxury. It is a biological necessity. Treat it like one. Pillar 2. Food. Nutrition is a vast and often confusing topic. There is so much conflicting advice, so many diets and trends and contradictory studies. But underneath all the complexity, the core principles of healthy eating are remarkably simple and remarkably consistent. Eat mostly real food. Food that comes from the earth, grows on plants, or swims in the sea. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, fish, eggs, and moderate amounts of good quality meat. Then these foods have sustained human health for thousands of years. Minimize processed food. Foods that come in packages, with long lists of ingredients you cannot pronounce, with added sugars, refined oils, and artificial additives. These foods are designed to be consumed in excess. They hijack your appetite signals, your blood sugar, and your gut microbiome in ways that undermine your health over time. Do not drink your calories. Sugary drinks, sodas, energy drinks, fruit juices, and sweetened coffees deliver enormous amounts of sugar with no satiety. Drink water as your primary beverage. Herbal teas and black coffee in moderate amounts are also fine. Eat until you are satisfied, not stuffed. This sounds obvious, but many of us have lost touch with our body's natural hunger and satiety signals. Eat slowly enough to notice when you are satisfied. Put your fork down periodically. Give your body time to send the signal that enough is enough. Do not make food the enemy. The food is one of life's great pleasures. Enjoy it. Share it with people you love. Eat your favorite foods. The goal is not obsessive restriction. It is a sustainable, enjoyable, predominantly healthy relationship with what you eat. Pillar 3. Movement. The human body was designed to move. We evolved as hunter-gatherers who walked and ran many kilometers per day, who lifted, climbed, carried, and built. Our sedentary modern lifestyle, sitting at desks, in cars, on sofas, is profoundly at odds with this design. Regular physical movement is linked to lower rates of heart disease, diabetes, depression, anxiety, cancer, cognitive decline, and premature death. The benefits are almost too many to list. Movement improves your mood almost immediately. It reduces stress, it improves sleep, it boosts brain function and creativity, it gives you energy. You do not need to be an athlete. You do not need to spend hours in the gym. Research consistently shows that moderate, regular movement is where the biggest health gains happen. 30 minutes of brisk walking every day has profound positive effects on virtually every health marker. Build movement into your life in ways that you actually enjoy. Walk instead of drive when possible. Take the stairs. Find a form of exercise you like, because the best exercise is the one you will actually do consistently. It might be swimming, cycling, dancing, yoga, hiking, to team sports, martial arts, or simply walking with a friend. Move your body every day. Make it non-negotiable. Not because you hate your body and want to punish it into shape, but because you love your body and want to honor it with the movement it was built for. Pillar 4. Stress management. Stress is not inherently bad. Acute short-term stress, the kind that comes from a deadline, a challenging conversation, or a moment of danger, can actually sharpen your focus and boost your performance. This is the stress response doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is chronic stress, long-term, unrelenting stress that never fully resolves. When your stress response stays activated for weeks or months or years, it damages your cardiovascular system, suppresses your immune system, disrupts your sleep, impairs your digestion, and accelerates aging. The antidotes to chronic stress are numerous and worth building into your daily life. Regular physical exercise is one of the most powerful stress reducers we know of. Deep breathing, specifically slow, extended exhales, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the body's rest and recovery mode. Time in nature has been shown to measurably reduce stress hormones. Meaningful social connection buffers the impact of stress. Mindfulness meditation, the even practiced for just 10 minutes per day, has demonstrated robust stress-reducing effects in dozens of studies. And, perhaps most importantly, address the source of the stress. Many people try to manage the symptoms of chronic stress while leaving the cause untouched. Ask yourself honestly, what is creating the chronic stress in your life? Is it a toxic relationship, an overwhelming workload, financial pressure, lack of boundaries, identity uncertainty? But the most powerful thing you can do is not just manage the stress, but gradually reduce or resolve its source. Chapter 7. Relationships. The people who make your life here is one of the most consistent findings in the entire field of psychology and behavioral science. The single greatest predictor of human happiness and well-being is not wealth, not fame, not beauty, not achievement. It is the quality of your relationships. The Harvard study of adult development, which followed hundreds of people for over 80 years, found this unambiguously. People who had warm, close, supportive relationships in their lives were healthier, happier, and lived longer than people who were isolated or whose relationships were troubled. The quality of your relationships is not just a nice to have, it is one of the foundational pillars of a good life. So, what makes a relationship good? What are the qualities of relationships that nourish and sustain us? Safety is the first quality. A good relationship, whether romantic, friendship, family, or professional, is one in which you feel safe to be yourself, safe to be imperfect, safe to have needs, safe to disagree. When you feel like you have to constantly perform, impress, or pretend in a relationship, it drains you. When you feel genuinely safe to be human, it restores you. Reciprocity is the second quality. Good relationships involve give and take. Both people contribute. When both people show up, both people invest time and energy and care. Relationships where one person is always giving and the other is always taking eventually become exhausted and resentful. Healthy relationships have balance over time, not perfect balance every single day, but genuine reciprocity over the longer arc. Honest communication is the third quality. In great relationships, people talk about what is actually happening. They name problems. They express needs. They give honest feedback. They are not just endlessly agreeable, nodding and smiling while secretly harboring frustrations. Honest communication is not always comfortable, but the alternative, bottled up resentment, unspoken needs, festering misunderstandings, is far more damaging. Growth is the fourth quality. The best relationships push both people forward. They inspire curiosity, ambition, learning, and becoming. When someone who loves you also challenges you not to make you feel bad, but because they believe in what you are capable of, that is one of the greatest gifts one human being can give another. Now, let us talk about something that many people find difficult: recognizing when a relationship is harmful. Not every relationship in your life will be safe, reciprocal, honest, and growth-oriented. Some relationships will be consistently draining, critical, manipulative, or toxic. This is painful to acknowledge, especially when the person involved is a family member or longtime friend. But staying in consistently harmful relationships out of obligation, guilt, or fear of change has a cost. It takes energy that could go toward your own growth and well-being. It can normalize unhealthy patterns. It can gradually erode your self-esteem and your sense of what you deserve. You do not always have the option of simply ending relationships, especially with family. But you can create distance. You can establish boundaries. You can limit the time and emotional energy you invest in relationships that consistently harm you, and redirect that investment toward relationships that nourish you. Let us also talk about building new relationships, because for many adults, making meaningful new connections is genuinely difficult. The social scaffolding that once made connection, easy school, shared housing, team sports, tends to fall away in adulthood. But making friends as a grown adult requires intentionality. Here is the core principle of building meaningful relationships: be genuinely interested, not interested. Most people spend social interactions waiting for their turn to speak, thinking about what to say next, trying to impress. The people who consistently form deep connections do something different. They listen. They ask questions and actually want to hear the answers. They remember things people have told them. They make the other person feel seen and valued. Ask people about their lives, about what they care about their experiences, their dreams, their struggles. Show up consistently. Follow through on what you say you will do. Be a person whose word means something. These qualities are rare and they are magnetic. People are drawn to those who are genuinely present and genuinely reliable. And finally, invest in the relationships you already have. Do not wait for perfect circumstances or grand gestures. Send a message to someone you have not spoken to in too long. Make the phone call you keep meaning to make. Show up to the gathering even when you feel tired. The small, consistent acts of investment are what keep relationships alive and warm. Chapter 8. Emotional Intelligence. Understanding and managing your inner world. You can have all the skills, all the knowledge, all the goals and habits and systems in the world, and still struggle to get where you want to go if you do not understand your own emotions. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions, and to recognize and understand the emotions of other people. Research suggests that emotional intelligence, often abbreviated as EQ, is as important as, and sometimes more important than, intellectual intelligence in determining success in relationships, in work, and in life overall. Emotional intelligence has 4 main components. Let us walk through each one. Component 1, self-awareness. This is the foundation of emotional intelligence. Self-awareness means you can identify your emotions accurately as you experience them. Not just I feel bad, but I feel anxious because I am uncertain about an outcome I care about. Or I feel irritated because I am tired and my needs for rest are not being met. Most people have a surprisingly limited emotional vocabulary. They experience a complex emotional state and describe it with just a few broad words: happy, sad, angry, fine. But emotions are much more nuanced than that. There are distinctions between frustration and resentment, between sadness and grief, between excitement and anxiety, between guilt and shame. Learning to name your emotions more precisely gives you far more information about what you are actually experiencing and far more ability to respond to it wisely. Component 2, self-regulation. Once you can identify what you are feeling, the next skill is managing what you do with those feelings. Self-regulation does not mean suppressing or ignoring your emotions that is actually harmful. It means choosing your response thoughtfully rather than reacting automatically. When you feel angry, self-regulation means you do not automatically say something hurtful or make a decision you will regret. You feel the anger, you acknowledge it, and you choose a response that serves your actual goals and values. This is harder than it sounds. Emotions, especially intense ones like anger, fear, and grief, create powerful biological impulses. They want to be expressed immediately. The pause between stimulus and response is a skill that must be deliberately practiced. Some tools for building better self-regulation: deep breathing, which activates the calming part of your nervous system; physical movement, which helps process emotional energy; waiting especially before sending an email or having a difficult conversation when you are very upset; and labeling. Studies show that simply naming an emotion out loud or in writing reduces its intensity. So yeah, I notice I am feeling angry right now. That simple act of naming creates a slight psychological distance that makes conscious choice more possible. Component 3, social awareness. This is the ability to accurately perceive the emotions of other people, to read the room, to notice when someone is uncomfortable, excited, hurt, or trying to hide something, to understand the dynamics and mood of a group. Social awareness is built on the foundation of attention. You cannot read people if you are not paying attention to them. This means putting your phone away, making eye contact, listening to the words and to the tone, noticing body language, and being genuinely curious about what another person is experiencing. Component 4, relationship management. This is the ability to use your self-awareness, self-regulation, and social awareness in service of your relationships, to communicate clearly and empathetically, to resolve conflicts constructively, to inspire and influence positively, to build and maintain trust. Relationship management is where emotional intelligence becomes most visible and most valuable. It is why some people seem to naturally navigate social situations with grace, building alliances, managing tensions, inspiring loyalty, and resolving disagreements in ways that make everyone feel respected. They have usually developed high relationship management through a combination of natural inclination and deliberate practice. You can develop all four components of emotional intelligence. It is not fixed. Like all the qualities we have talked about in this masterclass, it is a skill, and skills can be learned. Start with self-awareness. Spend a few minutes each evening reflecting on the emotions you experience during the day. Try to name them precisely. Ask yourself what triggered them. This simple practice, over weeks and months, will dramatically increase your emotional vocabulary and your ability to understand your own inner world. Chapter 9. The Art of Communication. Expressing yourself clearly and powerfully. Human beings communicate constantly. Through words, through tone, through facial expressions, through body language, through silence. Communication is the medium through which every relationship, every professional achievement, every collaboration, every piece of creative work is made possible. Yet most of us have never formally studied how to communicate well. We pick up habits from our families, our friends, our cultures. Some of these habits serve us, and some do not. This chapter is about consciously developing your communication skills so that you can express yourself clearly, connect meaningfully, and navigate difficult conversations effectively. Let us start with listening. Because most people think of communication primarily as speaking or writing, but the foundation of great communication is listening. And most people are quite poor listeners. Here is what most people actually do when someone else is talking. They half listen while thinking about what they want to say next. They interrupt. They finish other people's sentences. They listen only long enough to find a point they can disagree with or relate to their own experience. And they are physically present, but mentally somewhere else. Here is what great listeners do. They give full attention. They make eye contact. They resist the urge to formulate their response until the other person has finished speaking. They ask clarifying questions not to redirect the conversation to themselves, but to better understand what the other person means. They reflect back what they have heard. It sounds like you are feeling frustrated because the deadline was moved without any discussion. Is that right? This kind of listening, often called active listening, does something remarkable. It makes people feel genuinely heard, and when people feel genuinely heard, their defenses come down. Tensions ease, trust grows, problems become easier to solve. Now let us talk about speaking, about how to express yourself clearly and effectively. That with clarity is the first principle of great speaking. Before you open your mouth, it helps to know what you actually want to say. This sounds obvious, but many people start speaking without a clear idea of their main point, and they ramble, generating words without generating meaning. Know your main message. Say it clearly. Support it with examples or evidence. Invite response. Conciseness is the second principle. Say what needs to be said and then stop. And many people speak more than necessary because they are nervous, or because they want to make sure their point is understood, or because they enjoy the sound of their own voice. But conciseness is almost always more powerful than verbosity. When you say less, each word carries more weight. Empathy is the third principle. Before you speak, consider your audience. What do they already know? What do they care about? What concerns or fears might they have? Adjust your language, your tone, and your content based on who you are speaking to. A message that is perfectly crafted for one audience might completely fail with another. Authenticity is the fourth principle. Speak from genuine conviction. When you are sharing something you truly believe, it comes across in your tone, your energy, your word choice. Authenticity is compelling. Inauthenticity, saying what you think people want to hear, performing rather than communicating, is usually detected, even if unconsciously. It erodes trust. Now, let us address one of the most challenging areas of communication: difficult conversations. Difficult conversations are unavoidable in any meaningful life. At some point, you will need to give someone feedback they may not want to hear. You will need to address a conflict. You will need to set a boundary. You will need to apologize sincerely. You will need to say no. Most people either avoid difficult conversations entirely or handle them in ways that make things worse by being aggressive and blunt, or by being so vague and indirect that the other person does not even realize a difficult conversation was happening. Here is a framework that makes difficult conversations much more effective. Step 1. Set the right intention. Before you enter a difficult conversation, ask yourself what you actually want to achieve. Not what you want to say, or how you want to make the other person feel. What outcome do you actually want? Clarity about your intention keeps you focused and prevents you from getting derailed by emotion. Step 2. Start with curiosity, not judgment. Instead of opening with, "You always do this," or "This is your fault," begin by acknowledging the other person's perspective. When I want to understand your point of view, help me understand what happened from your side. This lowers defensiveness and opens the possibility of real dialogue. Step 3. Speak for yourself, not about the other person. Use I statements rather than you statements. "I felt dismissed when the meeting was rescheduled without telling me" lands very differently from "You always disrespect my time." The first is hard to argue with, it is your genuine experience. The second is an accusation that immediately triggers defensiveness. Step 4. Stay focused on the issue, not the person. Attack the problem, not the character. Even when you are frustrated with someone's behavior, keep the conversation about the behavior and its impact, not about who they are as a person. Step 5. Listen as much as you speak. A difficult conversation is not a speech. It is an exchange. Give the other person space to speak, to explain, to have their own feelings about the situation. You might learn something that changes your perspective. Communication is a lifelong practice. Every conversation is an opportunity to become more skilled, more empathetic, more effective. And in a world that is increasingly rushed, distracted, and superficial, the person who can communicate with genuine clarity and genuine presence has an extraordinary advantage. Chapter 10. Money and Financial Freedom. The basics of building real security. Money is one of the most stressful topics for most people, and yet, most people receive almost no formal education about how money actually works. We grow up watching our parents deal with money. Their habits, good and bad, become our defaults, and we enter adult life without the knowledge or skills to manage one of the most important aspects of our daily existence. This chapter is not about getting rich quickly. It is not about complicated investment strategies or financial products. It is about the foundational principles of financial intelligence, the simple, powerful ideas that, if practiced consistently, lead to genuine financial security and eventually financial freedom. Let us start with the most important financial concept of all: the difference between assets and liabilities. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket over time. A rental property that generates income. A stock portfolio that pays dividends and grows in value. A business. Savings in an interest-bearing account. Assets work for you even when you are sleeping. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket over time. A car loan, a credit card balance, a mortgage on a home you cannot afford, a subscription service you never use. Liabilities work against you. Most people, without realizing it, they spend their income almost entirely on liabilities. They work hard to earn money, and then they immediately spend it on things that either depreciate in value or create ongoing costs. Then they wonder why, after years of work, they have little to show for it. The path to financial security is not complicated in principle, even though it requires discipline in practice. It is simply this: earn income, spend less than you earn, and invest the difference in assets. Let me break that down. To earn income, this is obvious. You need a source of income. For most people, this is employment. For some, it is a business, freelance work, or investment income. Over time, developing multiple sources of income is one of the most powerful things you can do for financial security. No single income stream is guaranteed forever. Spend less than you earn. This is the part where most people struggle. Our culture is saturated with messages encouraging consumption. Buy this, upgrade this, to treat yourself. There is enormous social pressure to display wealth through spending on clothes, cars, travel, restaurants, technology. But here is a truth that changes everything. The most financially secure and wealthy people typically do not look wealthy in the way we expect. They do not drive the most expensive cars or wear the most expensive clothes. They spend modestly and invest the difference. What looks like wealth, the flashy displays, is often debt and performance. True wealth is invisible. It is in savings, investments, and options. Creating a budget is the practical tool for spending less than you earn. Not a complicated spreadsheet, just a clear, honest picture of how much money comes in and how much goes out, and where it goes. When you see that picture clearly, you can make conscious choices. You can identify spending that does not actually make you happier or bring you closer to your goals, and redirect that money to savings and investment. The 50-30-20 rule is a simple budgeting framework used by many financial advisors. It suggests allocating 50% of your after-tax income to needs housing, food, utilities, transportation, 30% to wants entertainment, dining, hobbies, travel, and 20% to savings and debt repayment. This is a starting point, not a rigid rule. If you are in significant debt, you might choose to direct 30 or even 40% to debt repayment until you are free. If you have very low expenses and strong income, you might save much more than 20%. The principle is to be intentional to choose where your money goes, rather than letting it disappear without conscious decision. Invest the difference in assets. Once you are consistently spending less than you earn, the money you save needs to work for you. Money that sits in a standard bank account earning minimal interest is money that is slowly losing value due to inflation. And there are many forms of investment. For most people without specialized knowledge, low-cost index funds are the simplest and most effective vehicle for long-term wealth building. An index fund is a collection of stocks that tracks a market index, like the 500 largest companies in the United States. Historically, these have returned average annual gains of around 7 to 10% over long time horizons. You do not need to pick individual stocks. You do not need a financial genius managing your money. You simply invest regularly, hold for the long term, and let compound growth do its remarkable work. The power of compound growth is one of the most astonishing mathematical realities in existence. When you invest money that earns returns, and those returns also earn returns, and those returns earn returns, the growth becomes exponential over time. A relatively small amount invested early in life, left to grow over decades, can become a large amount later in life. The key is time. The earlier you start, the more powerful the compounding. The best time to start investing was yesterday. The second best time is today. Even if you can only invest a small amount each month, begin now. Let time do the heavy lifting. Finally, protect yourself from financial catastrophe. Even a strong financial plan can be derailed by unexpected events, a health crisis, job loss, natural disaster. Financial protection means keeping an emergency fund, typically 3 to 6 months of living expenses, held in a liquid savings account. It means having appropriate insurance, health insurance, disability insurance, potentially life insurance if you have dependents. And it means not taking on excessive debt, which increases your vulnerability during difficult times. Financial security is not glamorous. It does not make for exciting social media content. But the peace of mind that comes from knowing you have savings, you are building wealth, and you could weather a significant financial storm, that peace of mind is one of the most valuable things money can actually buy. Chapter 11. Finding Your Purpose. The deep why behind everything. We have talked about mindset, habits, time, health, relationships, emotions, communication, money. But underneath all of these, deeper than any of these practical tools and strategies, lies a question that has fascinated human beings since the beginning of conscious thought. What is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I meant to do with this one precious, unrepeatable life? These are not small questions. Many people spend their entire lives avoiding them because they feel too big, too uncertain, too potentially disruptive. If you truly ask yourself what you are meant to be and do, the answer might require changes you are afraid to make. But without a sense of purpose, without a feeling of meaning and direction that goes beyond the daily task list, it is very difficult to sustain the energy, the commitment, and the joy that makes life feel truly worth living. The Japanese have a concept called ikigai. The word roughly translates as a reason for being. According to the concept, your ikigai, your deepest purpose, lives at the intersection of four things: what you love, activities and areas that genuinely excite and energize you, that make you lose track of time, that feel meaningful and alive to you, what you are good at, the skills, talents, and abilities that you have developed or that come naturally to you, the ways in which you can make a genuine contribution. What the world needs, the problems, needs, and desires that exist in your community, your industry, or the broader world that you are positioned to address. So what you can be paid for. The value you create that someone is willing to pay for, so that you can sustain yourself while living your purpose. When these four things align, what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for, that intersection is where ikigai lives. And living in that intersection is what people across cultures consistently describe as a deeply fulfilling life. Most people do not find this intersection easily or quickly. It takes exploration, experimentation, reflection, and courage. You might not know yet what you truly love because you have not given yourself permission to explore beyond what was expected of you or what seemed practical. You might underestimate what you are good at because you have normalized your own strengths and cannot see how remarkable they might be to others. You might not yet know what the world needs that you can provide because you have not been paying attention to the right questions. So, how do you begin to find your purpose? Start by paying attention to what energizes you. Keep a simple journal of activities and notice which ones leave you feeling alive, energized, curious, and engaged, and which ones leave you feeling drained and depleted. Energy is information. It tells you what resonates with your deeper nature. So pay attention to what angers you about the world. Anger, when not directed destructively, can be a powerful indicator of purpose. The things that anger or disturb you most deeply, inequality, suffering, ignorance, environmental destruction, cruelty, might be pointing toward the area where you are most motivated to contribute. Look for the thread. Think about the activities, topics, and experiences you have always been drawn to throughout your life. What is the thread that runs through them? What underlying interest or value does that thread reveal? Talk to people who know you well and ask them, what do they see as your unique strengths? What do they come to you for? How do they think you make a difference? Often, the people around us see our gifts more clearly than we see them ourselves. And finally, be patient. Purpose is not usually discovered in an afternoon. It is often revealed gradually through the accumulation of experience, a reflection, an honest conversation with yourself and others. Give yourself permission to be in the process of discovering your purpose rather than demanding that you already have the answer. Chapter 12. The Daily Rituals of Excellence. Morning, evening, and the spaces in between. We have covered a great deal in this masterclass. Mindset, habits, time management, health, relationships, emotional intelligence, communication, money, and purpose. So now we bring it all together in the practical architecture of your daily life. Because knowing is not enough. Knowledge without implementation is just entertainment. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not closed by information, it is closed by daily, consistent action. And that action lives in your rituals. A ritual is a habit with intention behind it. A ritual is a behavior you perform not just automatically, but consciously with awareness of why you are doing it and what it creates for you. The most consistently successful and fulfilled people across many fields and cultures share one thing. They have powerful daily rituals. These rituals are not identical. There is no single morning routine that works for everyone. But they share certain qualities. They are intentional. They are protective. They guard the time and energy needed for the most important work. And they are consistent. Let us design your ideal daily ritual structure. The morning ritual. Your morning sets the tone for your entire day. The first 30 to 90 minutes after waking are precious. They are yours before the world has a chance to claim them. Most high performers avoid checking their phone immediately upon waking. When you grab your phone first thing, you hand control of your attention to other people, to messages, news, demands, and stimulation from the outside world. That before you have even had a moment to be yourself, you are reacting. Instead, consider creating a morning ritual that includes some or all of the following elements. Hydration. Your body has been without water for 7 to 9 hours. Drink a full glass of water before anything else. This rehydrates you, supports your metabolism, and can improve mental clarity and energy. Movement. Even 10 to 15 minutes of morning movement, stretching, yoga, a short walk, that light exercise signals to your body that the day has begun, increases blood flow to the brain, and improves mood, reflection, or meditation. 5 to 10 minutes of silence, gratitude, intention setting, or meditation creates a mental foundation for the day. Instead of immediately jumping into reactivity, you first come back to what matters to you. Learning. Reading something meaningful, listening to an educational audio, or reviewing your goals and values for just 10 to 15 minutes each morning keeps your mind oriented toward growth. The morning ritual is not about doing all of these things every single morning forever. It is about deliberately using the early part of your day to set the right tone to show up for yourself before you show up for the world. The work ritual. Whenever your main period of focused work begins, having a clear ritual to enter it is enormously helpful. This might be as simple as making a specific drink, clearing your workspace, writing down your top 3 priorities for the session, and putting on specific music or working in silence. The ritual signals to your brain, it is time to focus now. During your work sessions, protect your deep focus from interruption. Work in focus blocks, typically 60 to 90 minutes, followed by genuine rest breaks. Turn off notifications. Close unnecessary tabs. And tell the people around you that you need uninterrupted time. Deep, focused work is increasingly rare in our distracted world, and then it is one of the most powerful competitive advantages you can develop. The transition ritual. Between different parts of your day, between work and personal time, between one major task and another, transitions are opportunities for reset. A brief walk, a few deep breaths, a short journaling session, or even just stepping outside for 5 minutes can help you fully close one chapter of the day and open the next with fresh attention. The evening ritual. Just as the morning ritual sets the tone for the day ahead, the evening ritual processes the day that is past and prepares you for deep rest and renewal. A strong evening ritual might include reviewing what went well today and what you would do differently, just a few minutes of reflection. Setting your intentions for tomorrow so that you wake up knowing what matters most. A wind-down period with reduced light, limited screen use, and calming activity, and a consistent sleep time that your body learns to expect. The evening ritual is about bringing the day to a conscious close, not letting it just drift into sleep while scrolling through a screen, but intentionally processing, appreciating, releasing, and preparing. Over weeks and months, these daily rituals compound into something remarkable. The person who consistently practices intentional mornings, focused work sessions, and reflective evenings becomes, over time, dramatically different from the person who simply reacts to each day as it comes. Not overnight, not dramatically, but quietly, steadily, inevitably, the rituals build a life. Chapter 13. Resilience: How to Bounce Back Stronger. No masterclass on mastering your life would be complete without talking about what happens when things go wrong. When they will go wrong. Not because you are doing something wrong, not because the universe is against you, but because that is the nature of being alive. Challenges, setbacks, losses, failures, disappointments. These are not exceptions to the human experience. They are part of it. The question is not whether difficulty will come. The question is who you will be when it arrives. Resilience is the capacity to withstand adversity and recover from it, and often to emerge from it stronger and wiser than before. Resilience is not toughness in the sense of not feeling pain or pretending things are fine when they are not. Real resilience allows full, honest experience of difficulty while maintaining the fundamental belief that you can and will get through it. Research on resilience has identified several key factors that help people navigate hardship. Meaning-making is the first factor. People who are resilient in the face of adversity are often those who can find meaning in their experience, who can ask not just, "Why is this happening to me?" but, "What can this teach me? How might this ultimately serve my growth?" This is not toxic positivity. It is not pretending that pain is good. It is the deeply human capacity to extract meaning and wisdom even from suffering. Viktor Frankl, and the Austrian psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps and went on to write one of the most powerful books ever written about the human spirit, observed this directly in himself and others. Those who survived the most extreme suffering were often those who could maintain a sense of meaning and purpose even within it. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. Social support is the second factor. When difficulty strikes, the presence of other people matters enormously. Not people who tell you everything will be fine with easy reassurance, but people who are genuinely with you, who sit with you in the difficulty, who listen without trying to fix, who remind you that you are not alone. This is one reason why investing in relationships before you need them is so important. The people who are there for you in a crisis are almost always people you have been there for and with in ordinary times. Adaptive thinking is the third factor. Resilient people tend to think about adversity in ways that do not catastrophize. They acknowledge the reality of what is happening without generalizing it into everything is ruined, or this always happens to me, or nothing will ever be good again. They can hold the difficulty while also holding the knowledge that this too will change. Self-care during hardship is the fourth factor. When life gets hard, many people neglect the very behaviors that would most help them recover: sleep, nutrition, movement, connection. The impulse to give up on self-care in difficult times is understandable but counterproductive. Maintaining even basic self-care practices during adversity is a form of self-respect and practical resilience. Action orientation is the fifth factor. Resilient people, once through the initial shock of adversity, tend to ask, "What can I do?" Not as a way to control the uncontrollable, but as a way to find their own agency within the situation. Even small actions taken in the direction of recovery and healing can restore a sense of capability and forward movement. You are more resilient than you know. Think about the challenges you have already navigated in your life. The difficulties, the losses, the failures, the heartbreaks. You are still here. You got through all of them, and each one, as hard as it was, contributed something to who you are now. The capacity to bounce back, to grow through adversity, to find meaning in difficulty, these are already in you. They have always been in you. This masterclass is simply helping you see them more clearly and develop them more intentionally. Chapter 14: Continuous Learning. The Commitment to Never Stop Growing. We are approaching the final chapters of this masterclass, and I want to make sure that one principle above all others stays with you after this audio ends. Never stop learning. See, not because learning is always easy or comfortable, not because every lesson will be immediately applicable or obviously valuable, but because a commitment to continuous learning is what separates people who grow throughout their lives from people who plateau. The world is changing at an extraordinary pace. The skills that are in demand today may not be in demand in 10 years. The knowledge that was considered complete in one decade is often overturned or substantially revised in the next. When the ability to keep learning, to adapt, to take in new information and integrate it into your worldview, this is one of the most valuable capacities a human being can develop. Reading is the most accessible and powerful form of continuous learning. The people who consistently read across a wide range of topics, not just within their professional specialty, but across philosophy, science, history, biography, fiction, and then more, develop a richness and depth of thinking that is evident in the quality of their ideas, their conversations, and their decisions. If you read one book per month, you will read 12 books per year. In 10 years, you will have read 120 books. Most adults never reach that number in a lifetime, but one book per month is achievable. It is approximately 20 minutes of reading per day. That is one podcast, one television episode, or 20 minutes of social media. The trade is remarkable in its return. Seek out ideas that challenge your existing thinking. It is comfortable to read books that confirm what you already believe, but growth happens when you encounter ideas that surprise you, that make you think differently, that require you to update your mental models. Learn from people whose lives and experiences are very different from yours. Travel, even in imagination through books and documentaries, that exposes you to worldviews and ways of being that expand your sense of what is possible. Ask questions constantly. The single greatest marker of intellectual curiosity. The engine of learning is the willingness to ask questions, not to pretend you know things you do not to perform confidence you do not feel, but to genuinely wonder and to follow that wondering into understanding. And practice what you learn. Knowledge applied and tested becomes wisdom. One knowledge that stays only in your head remains fragile and theoretical. The fastest path from knowing to mastering is doing. This masterclass itself is an act of learning, and the fact that you have stayed with it, that you have listened and reflected, and perhaps paused to think about how these ideas apply to your life, that is already a demonstration of your commitment to growth. Keep that commitment alive. Feed it every day. It will reward you more richly than almost anything else you can invest in. Chapter 15: English as a Tool for Mastering Your Life. This masterclass has been, in every way, designed for English learners. The ideas, the language, the pacing, all of it has been crafted to support your English growth alongside your life growth. And I want to take a moment to speak directly to you about your English journey. Because for many of you, learning English is itself an act of courage, of ambition, of commitment to a better life. Learning a language as an adult is genuinely hard. It requires sustained effort over a long period of time, in the face of frustration, confusion, and the sometimes embarrassing experience of not being able to express yourself with the fluency you feel inside. It requires you to be a beginner again, which for many adults is deeply uncomfortable. But the rewards are extraordinary. English is the most widely spoken language in the world. It is the language of international business, science, technology, academic research, and cultural exchange. The ability to communicate fluently in English opens doors: professional doors, creative doors, social doors, intellectual doors that simply are not accessible without it. And there is something even more powerful than the practical benefits. Learning another language changes the way you think. It gives you access to ways of seeing and experiencing the world that are embedded in another culture, another tradition, another way of organizing experience. Bilingual and multilingual people consistently demonstrate greater cognitive flexibility, creativity, and empathy. So how do you continue to grow your English? Here are the most important principles. Immersion is the most powerful accelerant. The more time you spend in English reading, listening, speaking, so you're writing, the faster you improve. You do not need to live in an English-speaking country to immerse yourself. You can surround yourself with English through books, podcasts, films, music, and conversations with other English speakers wherever you are. Consistency beats intensity. 10 minutes of English practice every day will take you further than 5 hours every Saturday. Your brain learns language through repeated, spaced exposure over time. Build daily English habits. Do not be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are the mechanism of language learning. Every error, when noticed and understood, is a step toward accuracy. The learners who progress fastest are usually those who are willing to speak and write imperfectly, who use the language even when they are not sure they are getting it right. Build your vocabulary actively. When you encounter a new word, do not just note its meaning passively. Use it. Write a sentence with it. Say it aloud several times. Return to it in a few days. The new word enters your long-term memory only through active engagement. Listen as much as possible. Listening is the input that teaches you how the language flows. The rhythm, the intonation, the natural word choices. Listen to content that is slightly above your current level. It should be challenging, but not incomprehensible. This is the language learning sweet spot, and love the process. If you approach English learning as pure obligation, as a grim duty to be gotten through, you will find it painful and slow. But if you can find aspects of the learning that genuinely interest and excite you, topics you care about in English, music you love in English, stories that move you in English, the learning becomes an adventure, and adventures sustain you through the hard days. Chapter 16. Putting it all together, your personal masterclass action plan. You have now journeyed through 15 chapters. You have explored the foundations of a well-lived life from multiple angles. You have been given frameworks, tools, principles, and practices. Now, it is time to make it real. Because a masterclass that stays only in your headphones is not a masterclass. It is just entertainment. The real masterclass begins when you put down the headphones and start living differently. Here is how to build your personal action plan. Step 1. Review the 5 areas of your life from Chapter 1. In health and energy, relationships and connection, work and purpose, money and financial security, personal growth and learning. Where are you now on each of these? What has shifted in your thinking as you have listened to this masterclass? Step 2. Choose your single most important focus area. Not all 5, not even 2. 1. The area that, if you genuinely improved it over the next 12 months, would have the greatest positive impact on your overall life. Give yourself permission to focus. Step 3. Set one clear outcome goal in that focus area. Make it smart. Write it down. Put a deadline on it. Step 4. Identify 3 process goals. 3 specific behaviors you will practice consistently each week that will move you toward your outcome goal. Step 5. Design your daily ritual structure. What will your morning ritual include? How will you protect your deep work time? What will your evening ritual look like? Write these rituals down and commit to practicing them for 30 days. Step 6. Identify one relationship you want to invest in more deeply. One person you will reach out to, reconnect with, or show up for more consistently. Step 7. Choose one learning resource. One book, one course, one podcast series, one practice that you will engage with consistently as part of your commitment to never stop growing. Step 8. Set a calendar reminder to review your action plan every week. But the weekly review is where you close the gap between intention and reality. These 8 steps taken together constitute your personal life masterclass action plan. They are not complicated, they are not glamorous, but they are real. And if you follow them with consistent, patient commitment, if you show up for your own life day after day, week after week, the cumulative effect over 1 year will astonish you. Chapter 17. The Long Game. Patience, Compound Growth, and the Beauty of Becoming. We live in a culture obsessed with speed, quick results, instant transformation, before and after pictures taken just 30 days apart, viral success stories that make enormous achievement look like it happened almost overnight. This culture of speed creates a dangerous illusion that if you are not seeing rapid, dramatic results, something is wrong with you or your approach, that you need a different method, a more intense program, a secret that the fast results people have discovered that you have not. This illusion causes enormous harm. It causes people to abandon sound practices before they have had a chance to work. It causes them to chase novelty instead of depth. It causes them to feel like failures for progressing at the natural, unglamorous pace of genuine human growth. Here is the truth that the culture of quick results does not tell you. Meaningful change is slow, not because you are doing something wrong, but because that is how meaningful change actually works. The compound growth that transforms a life does not happen dramatically in the first 30 days. It happens quietly, below the surface, across months and years. Think about a tree. In the first year after planting, you might see very little above the ground. The tree seems to barely grow. But underground, it is developing roots reaching deep, anchoring itself, building the foundation that will support everything that comes above it. And then, once the root system is established, the growth above ground accelerates remarkably. The tree does not look impressive for a long time, and then, suddenly, it does. Your growth works the same way. The habits you are building, the mindset you are shifting, the skills you are developing for a while, the results may not be visible. You may feel like nothing is happening, but something is happening. The roots are growing. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with the process. Then give your practices time to compound before you judge whether they are working. And in those inevitable moments when you feel like giving up, when the progress seems too slow, when the challenge seems too great, when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels too wide, come back to this. You are not the same person you were a year ago. You have grown. You have learned. You have navigated things you did not know you could navigate. That every difficult day you have gotten through has added something to you: resilience, wisdom, strength, perspective. This is the beauty of becoming. Not arriving at a fixed destination and staying there, but the ongoing, never finished, endlessly rich process of becoming more capable, more wise, more loving, more alive. You're a work in progress. That is not a problem to be solved. It is the most wonderful thing about being human. The final chapter, the invitation. Choose your life. You have reached the end of this masterclass. And yet, in another sense, you are standing at the beginning. Everything we have talked about, the mindset, the habits, the time, the health, the relationships, the emotions, the communication, the money, the purpose, the rituals, the resilience, the learning, all of it points to the same fundamental truth. You have a choice. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. Then the choice to show up for your life or to let it pass through your hands. The choice to grow or to coast. The choice to invest in the things that matter or to spend your time and energy on things that do not. The choice to face your fears or to be ruled by them. The choice to treat yourself with respect and care or to neglect yourself. These choices are not always easy. Some of them are genuinely difficult. Life presents real obstacles, real constraints, real injustices. Not everyone starts from the same place. Not everyone has the same resources. I do not want to pretend that positive thinking alone solves structural problems. But within whatever constraints you face, within whatever circumstances you are working with, you still have choices. And those choices, made consistently over time, shape everything. When there's a phrase that captures this beautifully, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. You were born. That part is done. Now, every day that you live with intention, every day that you ask why you are here and try to answer that question with your actions, that is a day that matters. That is a day that contributes to a life you will look back on with genuine satisfaction. This is not about perfection. It is not about doing everything right. It is not about never failing, never struggling, never feeling lost. Those things will happen. They happen to everyone. It is about getting back up, choosing again, learning from what did not work and trying something different, showing up imperfectly, honestly, persistently for the one life you have been given. You have everything you need to begin, not to have it all figured out, not to be perfectly prepared, but to begin right now with the next choice you make. Master your mindset, build your habits, use your time well, Take care of your health. Invest in your relationships. Understand your emotions. Communicate clearly and kindly. Build your financial security. Find and live your purpose. Never stop learning. Level up daily. One step, one day, one choice at a time. And welcome to the masterclass that matters most, the one happening every day in the choices you make, the person you are becoming, and the life you are building. This is your life. Go master it. Vocabulary review. Key words and phrases from this masterclass. As an English learner, reviewing the key vocabulary from this masterclass will help you retain and use the language you have encountered. Here are some of the most important words and phrases with simple explanations. Self-awareness. The ability to understand your own feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. Your growth mindset. The belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. Fixed mindset. The belief that your abilities are fixed and cannot be significantly changed. Habit loop. The three-part cycle of cue, routine, and reward that drives habitual behavior. Compound growth. Growth that accelerates over time because previous gains generate further gains. Eisenhower matrix. A time management tool that categorizes tasks by urgency and importance. The active listening. A style of listening that involves full attention, questions, and reflection to truly understand what someone is saying. Ikigai. A Japanese concept meaning a reason for being. The intersection of what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. Resilience. The ability to recover from difficulties and adapt positively to adversity. Emotional intelligence. The ability to recognize, understand, see, and manage your own emotions and the emotions of others. Process goals. Goals focused on your consistent behaviors and actions rather than final outcomes. Asset. Something that puts money in your pocket over time. Liability. Something that takes money out of your pocket over time. Habit stacking. The practice of linking a new habit to an existing one as a cue. Time blocking. The practice of scheduling specific blocks of time for specific tasks or types of work. Deep work. Focused. The uninterrupted, cognitively demanding work performed without distraction. Reciprocity. The practice of giving and receiving equally in a relationship. Authentic. Genuine. True to yourself, not performed or pretended. Compound interest. Interest calculated on both the initial amount and the accumulated interest from previous periods. Self-regulation. The ability to manage your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in order to achieve long-term goals. 'Tis comprehension. Questions. Test your understanding. Use these questions to check your comprehension and practice expressing your thoughts in English. You can answer them in writing, in speaking practice, or in conversation with another English learner. Chapter 1. What are the 5 areas of life assessment mentioned in the first chapter? Why is self-assessment important before making changes? Chapter 2. What is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset? Can you give an example of each from your own life? Chapter 3. What are the 3 parts of a habit loop? How can understanding the habit loop help you build good habits or break bad ones? Chapter 4. What is the Eisenhower matrix? Which quadrant should you spend most of your time in, and why? Chapter 5. What does SMART stand for in goal setting? Why are process goals sometimes more powerful than outcome goals? Chapter 6. What are the 4 pillars of health discussed in this masterclass? Which pillar do you most need to focus on in your own life? Chapter 7. What are the 4 qualities of a good relationship described in Chapter 7? Do your most important relationships have these qualities? Chapter 8. What are the four components of emotional intelligence? Which one do you think is your strongest? Which is your weakest? Chapter 9. What are the four principles of great speaking? Which principle do you find most challenging? Chapter 10. What is the difference between an asset and a liability? Can you give two examples of each from your own life? Chapter 11. What is ikigai? What do you think your own ikigai might be? Chapter 12. What elements might be included in a morning ritual? Why is a consistent morning ritual valuable? Chapter 13. What are the 5 factors that contribute to resilience? Which factor do you most rely on when facing difficulty? Your Chapter 14. Why is continuous learning important in the modern world? What is your favorite way to learn something new? Chapter 15. What are the most important principles for improving your English? Which principle do you plan to focus on most in the coming months? Thank you for spending this time with this masterclass. Whether you listened in one sitting or over many sessions, whether you understood every word or had to listen to some sections twice, the fact that you engaged with this material says something important about you. You are someone who takes your own growth seriously. You are someone who is willing to invest time and effort in becoming better. You are someone who believes even on the hard days, even when progress seems slow, that a better version of yourself is possible. That belief is everything. Hold on to it, nurture it. Come back to this material whenever you need a reminder of what you are working toward and why. Master your life. Level up daily, one step, one day, one choice at a time. Bonus. Chapter: Focus in the age of distraction. There has never been a time in human history when so much competed for your attention. Notifications, headlines, social media feeds, streaming services, group chats, advertisements, emails. Every one of these is engineered by teams of brilliant people whose entire job is to capture your attention and keep it as long as possible. And they are very good at their job. The result is that many people today feel chronically scattered. They move from task to task, notification to notification, without ever settling into the kind of deep, sustained focus that produces truly great work or truly meaningful experience. They are always half present, always one eye on the screen. This is not a personal failing. It is a predictable response to a designed environment. But it has a cost. And research shows that the average person checks their phone over 100 times per day. That every interruption takes an average of 23 minutes to fully recover from in terms of focused attention. That our attention spans, measured in meaningful task-sustained focus, have decreased significantly over the past 2 decades. Focus is becoming a superpower. In a world where most people cannot hold their attention on one thing for more than a few minutes, on the person who can focus deeply, who can sit with a challenging problem, a complex text, a creative task, for 1, 2, 3 uninterrupted hours, has an extraordinary advantage. So how do you rebuild your capacity for deep focus in an age designed to fragment it? First, treat your attention like the precious resource it is. Every time you hand your attention to a notification, a social media feed, or a piece of passive entertainment, you are making a choice. You are trading something valuable, your focused mental energy, for something of very low value. Make that trade consciously. Ask yourself, is this worth my attention right now? Second, practice single tasking. Multitasking is mostly a myth. What we call multitasking is actually rapid task switching, moving quickly between tasks, each switch costing mental energy and momentum. Do one thing at a time. Give it your full attention. Finish it or reach a natural stopping point before switching. Third, create focus rituals. Before a period of deep work, take a few minutes to clear your space, silence your notifications, write down what you are going to work on, and settle into stillness. These pre-focus rituals signal to your brain that a different mode of operation is beginning. Fourth, build your focus capacity gradually. If you currently struggle to focus for more than 15 or 20 minutes, you cannot immediately jump to 3-hour focus sessions. And start where you are. Practice 25 minutes of focused work, followed by a 5-minute break. Over weeks, extend those focus blocks. Train your attention like a muscle, gradually, progressively, with rest. Fifth, recover your relationship with boredom. Boredom has become intolerable to most modern people. The moment we feel even slightly bored waiting in line, sitting in a car, pausing between tasks, we reach for the phone. But boredom is actually the breeding ground of creativity, reflection, and problem solving. When you tolerate boredom instead of fleeing it, your mind naturally begins to wander productively, making connections, generating ideas, processing experiences. The focused mind is a powerful mind. Protect yours. The bonus chapter, gratitude. The practice that changes everything. Of all the practices recommended in positive psychology, the scientific study of what makes human beings thrive, none has more consistent research support than gratitude. Gratitude is not naivety. It is not pretending that life is perfect or that pain does not exist. It is the deliberate, practiced act of noticing and appreciating what is genuinely good in your life, alongside whatever is difficult. Studies have shown that people who regularly practice gratitude experience higher levels of positive emotion, greater satisfaction with their lives, more vitality, better sleep, more compassion, and lower levels of depression and anxiety. The benefits show up after just a few weeks of consistent practice. Few interventions in all of psychology have demonstrated such robust positive effects with such minimal cost. Why does gratitude have these effects? Because your brain has a built-in negativity bias. It evolved to pay more attention to threats and problems than to pleasures and blessings. This was adaptive for survival in an uncertain, dangerous world. But in the relatively safe modern world, this negativity bias means that without deliberate practice, your brain naturally focuses on what is wrong, what is missing, what is threatening. Gratitude practice directly counteracts this bias. It trains your attention to notice the good that is genuinely present in your life, the warmth of sunlight, the taste of your morning coffee, the sound of a friend's laughter, the privilege of a healthy body, the beauty of having work that engages you. These things are always there, but without practice, they tend to be invisible. The simplest form of gratitude practice is writing down 3 things you are grateful for each day. Not the same 3 things every day, actually looking freshly at your life and finding something specific. I am grateful for the conversation I had with my colleague today, who made me laugh at exactly the right moment. I am grateful for the rain, which I watched from my window for a few minutes and found unexpectedly beautiful. The specificity matters. It forces genuine noticing, not formulaic performance. You can also practice gratitude in relationships by expressing appreciation to the people in your life more often. Not in a forced or excessive way, but genuinely and specifically. I really appreciate how patient you were with me this morning. I know I was stressed and difficult. Thank you for always remembering the little things. It means more to me than you know. Gratitude expressed to others strengthens the relationship for both people. It creates a positive feedback loop. The person who is thanked feels good, which reinforces their behavior, which gives more opportunity for genuine gratitude. Begin a gratitude practice today. It costs nothing, takes only 5 minutes, and has the potential to profoundly improve the quality of your daily experience. End of script. Master your life in simple steps. Total content, full masterclass voiceover script, 17 chapters plus 2, bonus chapters plus vocabulary review, plus comprehension questions. Suitable for intermediate to advanced English learners. Format, voiceover ready, no visuals required. Approximate reading time, 8 to 10 hours of audio content. Produced as a graded reader masterclass for English learners at all levels total. Content, full masterclass voiceover script. Suitable for intermediate to advanced English learners. Format, voiceover ready, no visuals required.